Hi, this is Sue Greenwald here with Awakened Stories, here today with Deanna Carr with the Mystical Moonlight. Hey, Deanna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Awesome, awesome. Today's topic is Nikola Tesla. All right, we haven't talked about him at length yet. So, of course,
hmm
everyone knows him in now, this time of history, where maybe 20 or 30 years you hadn't really heard of him, but everyone's talking about Tesla energy. So, I thought we'd go point by point through his life. You can tell us what's
hmm
true and what's not true, okay?
Okay, got it.
Born in Croatia in the mid 1800s, 1856.
hmm
And he would lived out in the country, of course, studied a lot, was fascinated with electricity and mechanical devices. He studied engineering, but he never completed his education. He probably knew more than the professors, is my guess.
Yeah, a lot of it, now people usually think like, well, if he's uneducated, how is he smart? A lot of people that are smart actually have a hard time with the school systems
Right,
because they are I mean, some schools do help students to gain knowledge, but if it is something that's redundant to you, you kind of want to keep moving forward.
right.
And it was redundant to him, so he just kind of went off and did his own thing.
Yeah, it's very typical for very intelligent people because they typically know more than the professors. So he never finished his degree. And
hmm
like if you read books about him, they say he suffered from mental health at that point as well.
hmm
Is that true?
Not really. I think it was more of I need something that's going to entice me.
Yeah,
Like you said, like he's very intelligent. And it is hard for people that have a high intellect to understand people that are of a lower
right,
intellect,
right.
because they have different understandings of the world around them. It's hard to keep the same hobbies, likes. So he felt more secluded,
Yeah,
and some of us probably do too.
yeah,
And, it was a little bit different because you can't hop on a Zoom call and talk to people. It was, you had to deal with whoever was around you.
right.
And that is more of that, mental health issue. Just like I feel stuck, I feel trapped because I don't have people that I can have a real conversation with.
I get what he's talking about because you're right. A
hmm
lot of us in our respective groups feel that way as well.
hmm
We
Yeah.
can't really talk about what we know about or what we're passionate about. So
hmm
if I remember correctly, now I read several books on him years ago, but he corresponded. Back then you had to write letters, and of course they had to go overseas the hard way, right? So it took a
hmm
long time to get a reply to your letter. It was a big deal. But he moved to New York in the 80s. So he was in his late 20s at that point, and he worked for Thomas Edison. All right.
hmm
And so they had a falling out. Okay, so I've read several books, and really most of them did not paint the American, we'll call them philanthropers, in a positive light. They were all greedy. They all wanted to line their own pockets with his inventions, and they kind of screwed him almost every time it seemed. But
Yeah.
here we go. So he worked for Thomas Energy, Edison, having trouble talking today, and he improved Edison's generators. Okay,
hmm
and he proposed using a different kind of current. So Edison uses what was called DC current, and Tesla proposed AC current, and the whole scientific community flipped out. I think that was partially Edison's doing, that he did not want anyone to support what Tesla was doing. So he basically did not pay Tesla. He owed him a great sum of money, which he never paid him. And that
hmm
seems like a typical pattern for Tesla throughout, his lifetime in the US. All these guys would use him for his work, but never pay him. They screwed him. They stole his work. They stole his ideas over and over and over. Would you say all of that is true?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. He had a great intellect, but he also had a desire to change the world,
Right.
because he knew what he was creating had a great opportunity to help people.
Yeah.
And like just the energy itself, it was something that he could help a lot of people with. He could make it cheaper,
Yeah.
he could make it better than what we were getting. And they were people that, they wanted a lot of chunk in their pocket. They wanted the money. They wanted the fame too. I mean, think about it. Like you said, for the last who knows how long, 20, 30
Right,
years, you didn't know who Tesla was.
right,
Then boom, all of a sudden he pops out, and now you hear all like the backlog about what happened. And it's a way for people to now understand that we were misinformed about who truly did it. I mean, some of us kind of knew, like,
right.
come on, he
Yeah,
really came up with this stuff. But he was just one of the people that they figured they could push around. And he did have great inventions. He did have things that, we still don't even have full capacity to understand.
right, right. And for the record, we're currently using AC current now. All right. So
Hmm.
his inventions have fast forwarded into our lives now. All right. So
Hmm.
basically he goes out, he quits Thomas Edison's company, and he basically pursues his own AC research and promotion, I guess we'll say. And
Yeah.
then he starts to work with, the Westinghouse Group. Okay, so we've heard those names too. And when we think of that, we think of appliances now. But again, all of these guys were engineers, inventors, heads of
Hmm.
companies, and they were using him for his work, his knowledge, his good ideas, and basically screwed him. But basically, Tesla partnered with George Westinghouse, and he licensed some of Tesla's patents and paid him. Is
Hmm.
that correct? Did he pay him correctly?
He did pay him correctly. There were a few that they didn't end up using.
Ah,
So those ones did not get paid.
okay. So basically, their partnership is where they really developed the AC current, and they did
Hmm.
demonstrations, and again, but that became a foundation for radio and, like, we'll call them wireless technologies. And again, we're talking over 100 years ago, about 130 years ago, a long time ago. And again, Edison, our friend Edison, came in and started naysaying them, discrediting them,
Hmm.
and trying to rain on their parade, right? Okay.
Yeah, he was one of, it had to be about him. He was egotistical.
Yeah.
Um, and he wanted it to be like, I'm the only inventor. Because
Right.
I mean, when you think about like even the light bulb, that's who do you think about?
Yeah.
Um, so it was definitely driven by ego,
Yeah.
and he figured he could, say something and he would make their names kind of disappear, which it did actually work for a while.
Well, side question, did Edison actually invent the light bulb?
No,
Okay. I didn't think so, but
no.
okay.
He had money.
Yeah.
He had people that he could get to design stuff just like Tesla.
Right.
And he had a way to just take designs and make them his. Most of the people that he took from didn't have either the funds to fight for it, or they didn't have the resources and the name to back it up. So
Right.
if people knew who Edison was, they were going to believe him over
Right.
some random
Right.
person, because he had the funds, he had the understanding, he had the name. So they're going to go with that over what some random person says.
Yeah. Just kind of the same kind of a situation as Einstein, right? He took other
Hmm.
people's ideas and passed them off as his own. And what recourse do they have? He's the famous one, right? So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, it's harder to, I mean, even nowadays, it's like unless you have funds to fight something, now it's a little bit easier because you have, everything's through something, it has timestamps on it. Back then, I mean, you could just put a date on it and be like, hey, it's been there the whole time. You never
yeah,
know.
yeah.
So it's a little bit harder nowadays to do that kind of thing,
Mhm.
but it's still, that stuff still happens. People
Right,
still take the information and pass it off as their own.
right. Right. And so we're going, like we're glossing over this. There's a lot here that we haven't talked about, but I've read several books on Tesla, and I was really wanting to know what made him tick. And I don't feel like I got it from any of the books that I read. Nothing really
Mhm.
dug deep into it. But all I did remember is how these famous guys took his notes, his research.
Hmm.
They didn't pay him. They treated him horribly. So
Yeah.
there you go.
He was taken advantage of a lot.
Yeah,
And like I said, he had a heart that he wanted to give. Even though he felt secluded, he felt
yeah,
like he didn't belong or fit in, he still wanted to help people because he knew what
yeah,
the
yeah,
inventions could do.
yeah.
He knew where they could be led to. And he just wanted opportunity to help as many people as possible because even though he didn't maybe like the people around him, he still saw the living conditions. He still saw how people were struggling. And that wasn't just in one location, it was all over the place. So he figured with his inventions, he could at least take one thing off the plate. He could make one thing better.
Right,
And that's where it kind of led him. Like he had a desire to make things that people could actually use.
right,
Now, some of it was going to make him famous. It was going to put money in his pocket, but he needed it too, so that way he could live
right,
and he could support himself while doing all this scientific work.
right,
Um, but he was one that, he had more of a servant heart and a very high IQ in the brain.
right, right, right. So you got to think of it again. But look at that time frame. People were lighting their houses with candles, kerosene lanterns, or whatever. I mean, there was a lot of fires then. So that
Hmm.
fires would burn down a city, a building, like in 2 seconds, right? So
Yeah.
he was really providing light and power for refrigerators, all sorts of great appliances that we have now that they didn't have back then. So think of what he did, what he, overcame all these obstacles to
Hmm.
do, how that helped us now.
Yeah.
Amazing, right? So he was working with the Westinghouse guy, and then he basically went to light up the Chicago World's Fair in 1893. Okay, so that lit up the entire fair and, of course, got a lot of attention. So that brought
Hmm.
him and their project to the public eye. Would you agree with that point?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
yeah,
mean, visuals, it's easier to see something. So they wanted
yeah,
it to be kind of spectacular.
yeah,
And what better way to do it? So
right.
it did bring views to what they were doing and the projects they were working on.
Right. And that was a big deal. All right. So these
Hmm.
are big, beautiful, giant buildings that were lit up, bing, like by magic, we'll say. It got a
Hmm.
lot of great attention, a lot of great press. And that really put him on the map is what I think, like the
Yes.
general public back then knew the name then, right?
Yeah, once that happens, it was who did this, and then it's
Yeah.
word of mouth.
Right, right. All right, and then he basically created a remote controlled boat, and he started working with wireless energy, we'll call it. But
Hmm.
the issue is, despite his popularity and fame, he still had financial issues. Would you agree with all of
Yes.
that?
Yeah, he had financial issues mostly because people didn't want to pay him. They didn't want to
Yeah,
take out of their pockets,
yeah,
even though his inventions were what was making them so successful. Um, it was just something that he continued to deal with. And being a scientist on what he was working with, it was something that was a costly process.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So greed was the bottom line here, right? They all
Oh, yeah.
wanted the credit, they wanted all of his work and any financial gains for
Hmm.
themselves, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And they pretty much got it, I hate to say, but let's fast
They
forward.
did. They did.
Yeah,
And a lot of people still recognize them as like the leaders in the industry, but in
yeah,
reality, they were just takers. They were greed. Um, and it gives people like now that you look onto it, it gives people a bad name.
yeah,
It gives them a bad name for what they've done. And it is something that,
yeah,
they should have just done it the correct way. They should have,
right,
given him what he deserved.
right,
Um, but now later on down the line, they didn't realize it's going to come and, kind of tarnish their names because people are recognizing that Edison didn't invent what he invented.
right,
And things are coming into light. Now it's a long time later, but it is starting to bite them in the butt and, ruin what they wanted to be a legacy.
right, Right. Okay. We're going to fast forward a little bit, and then I want to talk more about that. Then Tesla goes on to build the Warden Cliff Tower on Long Island. And we've seen pictures of
Mhm.
it, a big, like round globe, out in the middle of nowhere kind of thing. Initially, it was funded by
Yeah.
J.P. Morgan. So we've all heard these names, right? Still in business today, still a
Mhm.
famous company or whatever. So it was initially funded, but then he realized that Tesla's vision was going to put paid communication, hear those two words, paid communication, out of business. So he took away his funding,
Yep.
right? Okay. So without funding, the project basically failed and they took the tower down. Is that true?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right. Now, listen to this name. Other backers in the project was John Jacob Astor the Fourth. We remember the Astor name from the Titanic, don't we? Yeah. Okay.
I
And
mean,
he,
you gotta think like, especially when you talk about communication. I mean, look at it now. Think
yeah,
about how big it is. Like now, back then they had landlines,
right.
right? And then it moved into old cell phones, and then now we have the new cell phones.
Yeah,
But think about not only how much it costs just for a cell phone service, but the phone itself. So it is
right.
a huge industry, and they love to scam people too. So it's
They
been super
certainly do.
fun.
Yeah, so of course we have telephone communication, radio, TV, all the stuff we use now.
Hmm.
Um, they basically didn't want to lose that money with what he
Yeah,
was doing. So they basically stopped funding him and then shut it down and even knocked down the building, right?
yeah,
Crazy.
yep,
Okay. So Okay, so he goes into like kind of isolation, all right, to work on his projects, and he filed patents and all of that, and he worked on wireless transmissions. There were some fires, if I'm not mistaken, on his notes and his home or whatever, but he lived in poverty, and he died in poverty, which is mind blowing to me. How could that be? But then his notes were taken, and somehow we think they've fallen into the wrong hands. But can you tell us if that's true? Did he die in poverty?
oh, well, yeah, he died in poverty because they didn't want him to have money to,
Right,
like, if he's already going to work on his work by himself,
right,
what's he going to do if he had money?
right.
He's going to make them even better.
Yeah,
And they were really fearful of it because it is a $1 trillion industry as of like these years, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Um, it is a huge thing, and they saw it as a way for him to either one, take the clients from them,
yeah.
or two, make it free and nobody makes money.
Right,
And they had a fear of both because then they're broke.
right,
Rich people don't like to be broke because they just don't like it. And, when you're in poverty, you're going to do whatever you can to get up there. So, um, he wanted to really change the world versus use it to gain financial. Now, of course, he wanted to live a little bit better, but he didn't plan on making millions and billions of dollars. He just wanted to live.
right,
And he continued because he saw potential. Plus, he had a mindset that was more meticulous. He liked to solve the problems. He thought about things in a different light,
right.
because he was so scientific. It just came easily and naturally to him,
Yeah,
and he wanted to make the place better.
right.
That's why he was thinking of free. Like,
Yeah,
okay, I see these people struggling. What if they could just not worry about it? Okay, I see these people, they can't communicate because they don't have enough money to buy a phone system. Well, what if we could make it for free? So he saw real life problems and he had real life solutions. And they didn't want that, so they took it down. But now you look and you see Tesla's name on the road, you see it everywhere, and they're making so much money off of his name now. So it's just interesting how people love to take and take from him. And in reality, all he wanted to do was make things better.
exactly. So think of it this way. He designed the AC power electricity that we use now, even now.
Hmm.
worldwide, huge. All right. He started working on the wireless communication, which was basically the foundation for Wi-Fi, radio, remote control,
Hmm.
everything we use now, right? So
Hmm.
he didn't really finish that because he couldn't. And his designs were used for electric motors as well. So we're still using what he completed 100 and what, 30 years ago now.
Hmm.
All right. Now, a lot of that we have to pay for, though, right? It's not free. All
Yep,
right.
everything is paid for.
And
It's interesting how that works.
like look at what we've talked about though. Consider if he was allowed to work unhindered, like with a proper lab and assistants and all that. What might he have done if there wasn't the
Oh,
greed and what
yeah.
might he have done to change the world?
Yeah, it would be a lot different. And I've even seen people like put up what they think the world would have looked like if he was let not let loose, but he was able
Yeah,
to
yeah.
he was able to complete projects as he wanted.
Yep.
He had unlimited funding. The problem is a lot of people and governments don't want free stuff because one, it takes money out of their pockets, and two, it doesn't benefit them. I
Right.
mean, just imagine free communication. You could talk to any country you wanted. You could figure out that some countries we've been lied to about.
Yeah.
Some aren't actually a third world. We're just told that. I mean, most information we get comes from somewhere, but who's
Right.
giving it to
Right.
us? So if you take out that middleman, you could figure out a lot more. And nowadays, cell phones are helping. Now, there is a lot of censorship, but it's helping for people
Right.
to understand that what we've been told and taught
Right.
isn't actually true. It's just what somebody's like, hey,
Yeah.
let's see if this will work.
It's
Let's
all
see if we can
greed.
tell them this.
Greed, power, and control. So now
Yep.
let's talk about some things like kind of the same topic, but I want to hear talk about some rumors I've heard. Okay, so we have heard that Tesla died, and Trump's uncle went in and took his notes, took all of his notes away. Is that correct?
No,
No. Okay.
no.
What happened to all of his notes?
They were taken, but they weren't taken by Trump's uncle
Okay. All right. And
or grandpa, whatever it is.
are they being used by other companies or the government or whatever to
Yes.
yeah, develop probably the government is my guess.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Other rumor is that Tesla is not actually dead.
No, he's not.
Ah. All right. So, I have to give details that are compromising, but is he alive on Earth?
No, he is not.
Ah. My guess is he'll be coming back to help though. Um now,
Actually, I don't know if he is.
oh, doggy, he better come back. So,
I see him working with others.
okay.
Like he's actually helped a few other planets.
Is he still in his same physical body?
No,
All right.
he's advanced.
Okay. I've also heard he was from Venus. Is that true?
No.
Another planet?
What I'm getting is he was human.
Mm.
His intellect was not human. Um, he was requested to see if he would like to leave to go off planets and help out other planets that needed to be updated and upgraded
Oh,
with technology. And because of everything that happened, it was an easy yes for him. Like, what else could happen?
yeah.
Um, so he did leave due to that. He was very successful. He was able to help many people and creatures. Um, what else? He, oh, there's something else. It's there. I can see it. Just know how to describe it. Um, I don't know if he'd be coming back to the planet because of all the intellect he's already given us and how it's been misused,
Right.
misguided. So for him to come back, it would pretty much have to be in the next phase,
Okay.
fully,
Okay.
where no corruption is in power.
All right. Is the fact of that they took his notes and they've developed all this technology that we probably don't have, right?
Yeah.
Is that going to come out in the public eye? Are they going to find out?
After corruption's gone, yeah.
Yay. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to know about his life? Like we've kind of glossed over his life because of lack of time, of course, but I
Hmm.
think we've hit the salient points. He knew lots of famous people, did all sorts of work for people, and basically got screwed every time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much the overview. I mean, if people have questions, put them into the comments.
Yeah.
But overall, he really just wanted to help people. He wanted to make the world a better place. He did it in the best way possible. It's just we have a lot of greedy people on this planet.
Ah,
And it does, when you think about what it could be like right now, it would be a lot different. And it's actually hard to imagine, if one person was able to have unlimited, what are the possibilities? And I think that is a common theme lately is what if we had unlimited? What if we could do the things that we wanted to do and had the capacity for understanding and were able to help and bring it to others? That is what they're afraid of, right?
exactly.
And they've done this time and time again for
Yeah.
people that have these understandings and these powers to help people. They
Yeah.
don't want that because listen, we're easy ATM for them.
Right.
We're easy. And until that corruption changes, it's always going to be like that.
Yeah. I agree. So basically, it's a way to control us. Of course, it's money,
Mm.
but that's control of us. Because if you have no money, you can't fight them. You can't get your word out, right?
Yes, yes.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And for those that are watching, please put your questions and comments, down in the comments, and we'll try to get back to them in the future. Thank you, Deanna.
Of course. Bye.
Bye bye.